Hi, I'm Captain Barry Rathbone. The video you're about to watch is a reenactment of an incident that I ran in 2006. If I would have known then what I know now about using 3 points of contact while exiting the fire apparatus, the outcome would have been completely different on this incident. So sit back, relax, and enjoy watching what could have been.
Engine 439, Engine 425, Engine 436, Engine 431, Truck 425, Tower 436, Rescue 439, Medic 404, Battalion 401, Battalion 402, EMS 401, EMS 402, Safety 403, Box 40404, 7711, Hobble Way, for the house fire with occupants reported to be trapped.
Oh, hey Barry, what's up, man? What are you doing here?
Hey, tore my ACL the other day on a working fire.
Man, how did you do that?
We pulled up, had smoke showing out the front door, and I jumped off the rig, not looking at where I was, jumping to, and landed on my right leg.
Man, I'm sorry to hear that. That's really interesting. I'm up here for a meeting with Chief McFarland about putting together a 3 points of contact video because of people getting hurt, getting off of fire apparatus.
3 points of contact? What's that?
Well, 3 points of contact is getting off the rig the same way that you get on. So you turn towards the cab, you step down on the step, put a hand on each handrail, and then you control your descent to the ground. All right, man, I actually got to run. I'm running late.
All right, Josh.
All right, be good.
Good seeing you, man.
Later,
Take care. Man, I wish I'd have used 3 points of contact. Fairfax County Fire and Rescue, Captain Rathbone, can I help you?
What you just heard from Barry is no laughing matter. As a matter of fact, I want you to really pay attention on how this has really impacted Barry's personal and professional life. Having 3 points of contact and not doing it correctly can have a major impact on you too.
Right. Having an injury like this, it has an effect on you both professionally and personally. Professionally speaking, on the job, loss of FLSA pay makes a significant difference on your monthly income. What you're budgeting for at home. That was an issue. Light duty, running back and forth from light duty to physical therapy, back home. I live about an hour away from here. My physical therapy location was an hour from my home in the opposite direction of what Fairfax County is. So it was like a 2-hour commute when I was leaving light duty to go do physical therapy. Huge impact. It just seemed like for that next 4 to 5 months, 100% of my day was spent rehabbing this knee. I mean, that's your life once you get an injury like this until you get it rehabbed. Personally, it affected my home life. My wife, she had to take a couple weeks off work for the surgery, running me back and forth to physical therapy. I wasn't able to drive for 2 weeks following surgery, and physical therapy started the day after surgery. And for that next 4 or 5 months, I just wasn't able to be, the dad that I normally was to my kids. I'm heavily involved in sports with all 3 of my kids, and I just wasn't able to be there, for them in the capacity that I normally would be. As far as my knee goes, I still have lingering effects from the injury. And the injury occurred, over 10 years ago. The doctor rated it at, I believe, 90%. Back. I don't have the same range of motion that I had in my knee before. I've got, arthritis in my knee now, and it takes a daily stretching regimen that I do with the knee. Otherwise, I get fluid buildup on that knee. So, again, this injury happened over 10 years ago, and the lingering effects are still here. Every time I do PT, every time I go out for a run. It just doesn't feel the same as my left knee. Before this injury, I never gave it a second thought how I got on and off fire apparatus. Since the injury, I've totally changed the way I get off the fire apparatus. First thing I always do is I visualize the surface that I'm stepping down to. You're not always stepping down onto a flat paved parking lot. I could be on Clifton Road at midnight on a vehicle accident, where you're stepping off the rig and you're stepping off into a ditch, uneven terrain, rock, what have you. A surface that would lend itself to having an injury. So I always visualize what kind of surface I'm stepping onto. Secondly, I always exit the apparatus backwards. I turn around as I'm exiting and grab both rails, so each arm and hand has a point of contact. And then usually my left leg I'll put on the step of the engine as I'm stepping down. Those are my 3 points of contact. And then I can control my descent and transition to the ground smoothly, avoiding that major impact when you hit the ground. And anybody that has 20 plus years in this department probably has had some sort of injury. They know what I'm talking about. But I'm speaking to the younger members of the department. You might not, know the full effect that an injury like this has on you, both personally and professionally. Bottom line is we face enough hazards in this job on a daily basis that we have no control over. Getting onto and off the apparatus is definitely one that we can control. So when getting on and off the apparatus, use 3 points of contact, and let's minimize and eliminate these avoidable injuries.
I want to make sure everybody understands in 2015, the troops have reported 40 injuries as a result of getting on the apparatus or off the apparatus. Part of that is as a result of not using 3 points of contact. That's the reason we're doing this video, to help our members understand and certainly change behavior. In Barry's case, you saw how it personally and professionally impacted him. I don't want that happening to any of our members. None of us do. As Barry said in his interview and during this video, which was very entertaining, we can control some things and there's others we can't. Firefighting and EMS work is very dynamic. However, the one thing you can control, we can control, is using that 3 points of contact to make sure we reduce our exposure as it relates to injuries from not using 3 points of contact, but also in maintaining your situational awareness. Watch where traffic is, watch where you're going to place your feet, and watch the environment in which we're going to operate in. This is a great learning experience. Let's make sure we continue to use the 3 points of contact, getting on and getting off apparatus, to reduce our exposure to injuries and to reduce injuries themselves, so that you don't have a Barry moment in your career.